Chatter on Books. It's Cliff Notes for book clubs. Why read the book if you can listen to Chatter on Books? I'm Jamie McIntyre, your announcer, but you don't care about that. Here again is your host, Torie Clark.
Claude, we should start because everybody wants to hear about David's weekend at his son's graduation. Right. David?
Yes.
Everybody wants to know, how was your son's graduation? How quickly did you cry?
Actually, did I cry? I did cry. I guess I did cry. It was wonderful. It's the older child, and first child of mine to get a college degree. He got 2, so that was really cool. Just unbelievable. Yeah. If you have kids, you know what it's like. You know that it's not linear, it goes up and down and sideways and backwards, and there's all kinds of challenges that they have over the course of their adolescence going into adulthood, and certainly in adulthood the challenges get even greater because then money starts getting involved, so but it was great. Wonderful. I mean, they do a wonderful thing when the kids first come to William and Mary. They have a candlelight vigil as freshmen, and then when they leave, when they're about to graduate, they have a candlelight vigil as seniors, and it was really lovely. And then we could not have had a better day on Friday for the actual graduation that they have in their football stadium, and it was just a beautiful day. And
nice. Who was the commencement speaker? The
commencement speaker was Francis Fukuyama.
Oh, interesting.
He gave a very good speech, actually. But Robert Gates is I'm going to get this wrong, chair of the board of something or other down there. So he was down there speaking, and we had all kinds of great people there, and it was nice. Great. It was great.
So nice. When our son Charlie went to Michigan and graduated, but he was a COVID baby, so they didn't have a graduation. And then 2 years later, they had said to the class, you can come back and you can be part of the big regular, you can have your own. They had their own thing, but it still was in the big house, which is 110,000 people. Sure. And parents are always more excited about their kids graduating, quite honestly, than the kids are. And so my husband and I and our dogs are up in the nosebleed section in the big house watching, and we had seen him, you could see him through the crowd. Anyways, we're there. It was pretty hot, as a matter of fact, and it's chaos as they're moving across the stage. And I kept saying, I got to keep my eyes on him because I've got to see it. I got to see him walk across the stage, right? And because there were so many people there, so my parents, your cell phones weren't really working well. So I'm trying to text our son, but I can't get him to text back. Anyways, Brian, my husband's like, let's get out of here. This is crazy. It's going to take forever to get out of here. We're never going to see it. And I said, no, we are going to stay. So finally, after about half an hour of this, my text goes through to Charlie, and he responds. He goes, oh, we left 45 minutes ago. The line was too long. I was crushed. Okay, 30 seconds on Book Fair-palooza. On Saturday, Claude and I were in Gaithersburg with our friend Judd Ashman at the Gaithersburg Book Festival. Claude, bigger crowds than ever, correct?
I was going to say that. There were so many people there. So many people there. So many food trucks, too, as well. I mean, a lot of food options, which is great. You want that at a book festival, right?
Yeah.
And all the different tents where everyone was gathered to, hear the different panel discussions, they were packed.
They were packed. Yeah, overflow crowds coming out of the tents. We got to interview Jason Mott. Fantastic guy. Really, really interesting. His latest book is People Like Us, National Book Award winner. He was fantastic. And then I jumped in the car with my husband and the dogs, and we drove to Long Island for the Gold Coast Book Fair with our friend Steve Israel and Ann Binney, who runs that show. And I was just saying before we got rolling, really wonderful scene, wonderful authors, wonderful venues. Ours was in a brewery. Shocking that they put me there. And but the Long Island Railroad strike the day before really impacted the crowds. But it was really fun and big. And I saw D. Smith there. He says hi to everybody. He was there doing it as well.
Was he doing his book?
Yeah. He was doing his book, and he was on a panel, Dave, with Seth Wickersham. You know Seth?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah, Seth was a lot more into the tote bags and the free giveaways than anybody else. Okay. Let's talk about the pitch, which is our writing competition, unlike any other, because in this one, independent bookstores nominate their authors, which is fantastic. A lot of people would say Mitch Kaplan from Books and Books in Miami needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyhow, Mitch, and I'm going to steal from this FT article, which I think was last year. Do you remember this?
I do. It was
to the Financial Times Globetrotter's Guide to Miami. Ask anyone who you should meet to really understand Miami, and you are 2 recommendations away from Mitchell Kaplan. To one, he's a, quote, champion of literature. To another, an absolute institution. The accolades continue. A real mensch, the godfather of books, the cultural heart of Miami. That's pretty cool. So, Mitch, I know what you were doing when you were 26 years old in Miami, but tell us, give us the backstory on you and Books and Books in Miami.
Well, the backstory is that I'm from Miami originally. I grew up in Miami Beach. Left as soon as I could, went out to Colorado to college, became an English major, and fell in love with the literary life and figuring that that's where I wanted to be after a little detour in law school, which reconfirmed that I wanted to become a bookseller and not a lawyer. So I opened in 1982 when Miami was just coming out of a really rough period. I mean, in 1980, Time magazine had an article that said, Miami Paradise Lost with a big question mark. This was a dark period, but I saw it as incredible opportunity because I understood the immense diversity that was Miami. And Miami in those days became a prototype for what the rest of the country was going to become. This wonderful coming together of all kinds of different kinds of people. And so we opened an independent bookstore in 1982. In 1989, I opened one on Miami Beach. And then we expanded in the year 2000 to now we have a bookstore cafe. And we opened up in a couple of other locations in Miami. And then what we did too is open in Key West with the wonderful Judy Blume. Judy Blume and her husband and I, we opened a bookstore down there. And so I've been doing this now for close to 45 years. And the bookstore does about 400 author events a year. I was involved with beginning and starting this thing called the Miami Book Fair in 1985. And in fact, you mentioned Gaithersburg. Judd is from Miami. And he says that he got his inspiration from the book fair, which a lot of other cities did as well. And
I'm sure, I'm guessing a lot have taken chapters from your book. And I know Peter Slen from C-SPAN Book TV.
They usually come down every year as well. But so that I've been doing this for lots of years now. And I have to tell you that Chantel Acevedo is kind of one of our superstars down here in Miami.
When did she come on your radar, Mitch?
Oh, she came on our radar with her earliest books, but the book that became really probably the book that brought her the most readers was a book called The Distant Marvels that was published by Europa. And it was a finalist in 2016 for the Andrew Carnegie Medal for Excellence in Fiction. Europa then went on to do another one of her books called The Living Infinite, which was called, by so many different reviewers, vivid, enthralling. She's just one of these writers that is able to take everything that she does and she kind of forges it into a surprising story. And what's really cool is that she also has been writing for young adults now. And she's written these middle grade books. Her first one was called The Muse Squad. And the second one was The Curse on Spectacle Key. And then we just recently had her in the bookstore for a book that she wrote called No Way, Never Sisters that she co-authored as well. And she's not only that, but she is an amazing professor. She is a professor of writing, and she's also been at the University of Miami, where she's also been, and I know Chantel will correct me, but I believe she's been a provost or in the provost office or in the head of the Department of Arts and Sciences. And not only that, she's an amazing mother who gave us an amazing worker in our cafe for a year or two before she went off to college. So we're very, very entwined, Chantel, Books and Books, and myself.
Excellent. Chantel, can you top that? That's pretty
I don't think I can. That's so kind. And I'm so glad, Torie, that you gave that great introduction about Mitchell, because really, I think it really encapsulates how important Mitchell is to the community. And I've always said, right, Miami without Mitchell is Miami without a soul. And so, and books, especially the Coral Gables store. It's just, I was there today for lunch, and I had lunch with Ana Menendez, who's another amazing writer. And every time you go, you'll see writer friends there, and people at work, and people who are going to become, great writers someday, graduate students. So really, Mitchell has created all of this and gave my daughter a job, which is amazing.
Maybe the most important part. Maybe the most important part. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Employment's important. What is it, Chantel first, and then maybe Mitch, what is it about Florida that creates these incredible, it's cliche, incredibly creative writing? Incredibly creative writing.
Well,
a lot comes out of Florida.
What's really interesting is that back in the day, when we started, it was mostly people writing genre stuff, right? So you had people like Charlie Willeford writing Miami Blues. You even had Dutch Leonard lived in Fort Lauderdale, and he wrote La Brava, which is one of the great, great novels of 1980s Miami. But what's happened over the years, because of writing programs like at the University of Miami and FIU, and you have these incredible writers who are attracted to Miami. So now you have poets, you have fiction writers. It's also, in many ways, a very, very supportive literary community. Writers are not backstabbing one another. Everyone is lifting everyone else up. It's such a richness here, such a richness of diversity that it's very hard, not to find a welcoming place to put your typewriter or put your pen and paper down and write something really interesting.
I wonder if that's geography. Jim, I want you to weigh in on this. I wonder if that's geography or the nature of writers, and I aren't one. But Angie Kim is one of our favorite writers here at Chatter on Books. And I remember she lives over in Great Falls, Virginia, which if you're in D.C., part of the DMV, because that's what we call ourselves, Great Falls is very far away. But she was part of a writers group. And it was so important that she would drive an hour and a half, through bad weather, good weather, pandemic, to be with her writers group because they were so important to her writing. And Lou Byard's talked about similar kind of things. But you all know each other in the DMV, right, Jim? And it's unlike other communities. David, I'm thinking of athletes. They're not necessarily the most supportive group of one another.
No, they're not. And they sort of are kind of, but it's not, it has nothing to do with books. But some of them are, some of them aren't.
Yeah, but not really.
Not as tight knit as the book writing community, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, here in the DMV, the fiction writing group really didn't begin to expand until I would say the early 1980s, because before then, DC was a really kind of small city, and if you were a writer, you were writing about politics, about government, about history. And then I kind of want to credit Larry McMurtry, who opened a great bookstore here. And that gave fiction authors in the DMV a reason to believe that they were not alone. And we started to reach out to each other. There's the Washington Independent Writers Group. There's also something called the Dan Moldea Authors Dinner Group. It's just, and now with the fiction crew, of which I'm so grateful to be part of.
Yeah.
We all know each other. We take turns hosting book events, small things like Noir Bar, which is this phenomenon that brings literature and writers and authors reading into usually a kind of tough dive bar situation and gets us out into the community. And that they're wonderful.
Yeah, nice. Chantel, in Miami, where do you get your inspiration? And I'm always fascinated by writers who also teach. I can't imagine Jason Mott, who we saw on Saturday, Claude, just a really, really cool guy, teaches at UNC Greensboro, I think it is now, or Wilmington. And he just talked about it's a completely different experience for him writing versus teaching. But where do you get your inspiration, particularly your latest work? And then what is it like teaching versus doing the work yourself?
Sure. So I think, well, I get my inspiration, it comes in pieces often, particularly in terms of story. And so, and it tends to just be sort of interests, right? So something will capture my imagination. So for example, with The Distant Marvels, which is set in Cuba during their War of Independence from Spain, it came from running across an image of what I thought was the World War II Holocaust imagery, right? Of these sort of babies, who had passed and who were sort of piled up, and it was a really horrific image. And I thought, oh, this must be from that era. And then finding out it was, concentration camps in Cuba that the Spanish had set up, right? And so then as a Cuban American, you think, I didn't know anything about this. And so then you start researching it, and then you sort of all these characters sort of come into play, whether they're historical or ones that my brain is starting to concoct, right? Because I don't have the answers. And so a lot of it happens that way. And I think locally, it's because I'm writing about Cuba and Cubans, sort of hearing it. It's around you constantly, right? It's the accents, it's the culture, it's the things that people are worried about, the things that weigh on them. Like that is constantly sort of feeding that well, right? That I draw from so often.
And Chantel, Cages is coming out just in about a month or two. Tell us about where that started from.
Yeah, so Cages is coming out again with Europa. I love them, and they've been very good to me. And so that it'll be out June 9th. And so Cages tells the story of a Cuban zookeeper. His name is Felix. And when the novel opens, he's dying of AIDS. And the novel is told from the perspective of the people who he loved, people who he betrayed, people who betrayed him, right? So it's a lover, a wife, one of his daughters, a brother-in-law, right? Like these are the people who are telling their story, and they're telling their story to his daughter, who doesn't know him, who has never gotten a chance to know him. And so there's a sort of a fracturing of the narrative, but they're all sort of building the case about who this man was. And because he's a zookeeper, I got to do some really cool research. I did some research in London, in the Zoological Society archives, which was amazing getting in there. So part of it is set in the London Zoo, some of it is set in the Havana Zoo, some of it is set here in Miami. And one of the really cool places to visit when you're in Miami is the Crandon Park Zoo, which is no longer a functioning zoo. It's not operational, but they still have it maintained. And so you can sort of go and see the cages and how small they used to be back in the day. And it's a really interesting place to explore.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's great. Okay. Mitch, what made you nominate Chantel and this book for the pitch for this particular award? Because it probably was hard for you, I'm guessing, because you have a wealth of writers, you have a wealth of people you've known for years.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. But I think what really me was that the book is coming out really soon.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a wonderful kind of checks all the boxes for me as a bookseller and reader. It's a compelling story. At the same time, she goes into these areas that you don't normally think about. I mean, you can tell from what she said about a zookeeper who happens to be dying of AIDS. And at the same time, I feel like she deserves the widest audience possible. And awesome. I think, you guys are doing, I think if more and more people hear about Chantel's work, that'll make me very, very happy.
Awesome. Now that I'm the book fair queen, because I'll moderate a panel anywhere, I was already thinking about Chantel yesterday when I was up there. I'm kind of looking around at who they had. Good authors from New York, mostly from New York. But oh my God, they would love her up here. So Mitch, thank you. Thank you to Stephanie, if she's going to listen to this, for making this happen. It was not easy, but thank you for making it happen. I will be in touch with you. Chantel, thank you so much. Terrific work. Congratulations on your nomination. And hopefully we'll be talking to you very soon.
And
thank you all very much.
And it's a pleasure being with everybody. But can I ask one question?
Of course.
David, is there any chance that the Miami Heat are going to get Giannis?
So great.
I would say the chances are not zero, but not all that good.
Really? All right. Well, then you got to school a lot of these reporters down here.
Well,
Who are giving us a whole different thing.
So
it's an interesting dynamic down there with the Heat media. They tend to believe the Heat can just by their sheer desire to do something will make that happen, and there's no you can't really and without going too deep into the weeds here, they have one really good player.
And they don't want to give him up, right?
Correct. So to get Giannis, you'd have to trade Adebayo.
Yeah.
They're not trading Adebayo. So how are you getting Giannis if you're not trading Adebayo?
Also, can I make one more? I hope I'm not. I know I'm moving.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Not at all.
This is podcast time.
One little thing that has really struck me as a bookseller, as a sportsman as well.
Yeah.
Of all of the different athletes that have come into the store, and I mean lots of athletes.
Sure.
The athletes that are the biggest readers are the basketball players.
Sure.
Interesting.
I can tell you that right off the bat.
They have a lot of free time.
I can't tell you who comes in. People, they just come in and, Isaiah Thomas, whenever he's in town, hangs out.
Yeah.
Basketball players hang out in bookstores more than any of the other players.
They do. They like reading.
Good on basketball.
A lot of flights, a lot of, downtime. They do.
Great.
Hey, can I bother you for one thing? This is just a total fanboy thing. Please tell me Carl Hyacint's a nice guy, because he's like one of my favorite writers.
Oh, the nicest guy in the world. Really nice guy. So generous.
A second source on that.
I'm a big fan of the way he is. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Carl's the best. Carl, Dave Barry as well.
I know Dave. Yes.
Our two OGs here.
Yes.
But if you start going down through the list of authors who have come through Mitch's store, Books and Books, he drove Joan Didion around, Anthony Bourdain, close personal friends. He's like the David Aldrich of books. David Aldrich of Books.
If only.
Thank you, David Aldrich of Books. Thank you, Chantel. Take care. Have a great week.
Good luck with everything.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
So great. David, swear to God, somebody walked into, so again, Steve Israel and Ann Binney, the Gold Coast Book Fair in Oyster Bay, New York. The brilliance of I moderated these two authors. They put me in the Oyster Bay Brewery, which was fantastic, which was great. Perfect. And again, there were people there, and they were decently attended, but it would have been much more if the Long Island Railroad was not on strike. Yeah. But a handful, I got there early, of course, and I'm puttering around like, where am I going to get my beer? And a couple of people walked in, and it was they're kind of middle-aged guys, like in kind of wearing the Dockers and the polo shirts kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Is David here?" And I had to say no. And I swear to God, they didn't even pretend to care about the panel I was about to moderate. Like, okay, bye. And they just turned around and walked away. It was so great. So great. So do you know this Wickersham guy?
Yes, I know. I mean, we're not friends, but I know him. He's a very, very talented writer, writes about the NFL with great authority.
He wrote something, American Quarterbacks or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the few people that covers the NFL that doesn't write about the games at all. He writes about the issues. He wrote a lot about Dan Snyder before Snyder sold the team and not flattering stuff about Dan. And there's very few guys that take on the shield. And he goes in on them if they, whatever it is he's interested in, he writes and gets owners to talk to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he does a good job.
So I met him very briefly. We're here to talk about Jim Grady, his great new book. But so Oyster Bay, tiny town, they had the streets closed off. It was kind of like Gaithersburg, Claude, but not quite as big. And the VIP area was some nice little bar restaurant. And they had a tent set up in front, and you would check in at the tent, and they'd give you your VIP bag, which I was like, oh, thank you. How many more mugs do you need? How many more notebooks do you need? Kind of like, thanks so much. It's okay. I'm good. Great. Give it to a volunteer or something. So I come inside, and DeMar Smith was there, who've had on the show, Turf Wars. He says hi to everybody. And so he and I are catching up. And he said, I saw you walking in, no VIP. I said, no, I don't need any more. And I said, have you seen all the tote bags? Everybody at book fairs walks around with multiple tote bags. Mm-hmm. And every one of these people, in their homes has 30 or 40 tote bags, right?
Mm-hmm. I will say this. In Gaithersburg, I noticed more wagons, too. I saw little carts in the wagons of books and things like, all right, okay, we're going to a different level here. which is fine. Which is fine.
That is absolutely true. The wagons. I didn't see wagons in Oyster Bay. So D. Smith and I are standing there drinking really good coffee, and we're cracking up because the authors and their publicists and the people moderating panels are cramming into this cute little bar restaurant because there was free food.
Yeah.
They're acting like it's the last meal. But we're laughing about how we didn't need the VIP bag. We don't need more tote bags. And he goes, oh, there's Seth. He's on my panel. Seth stops at the check-in tent. I don't want to say it because it might not be true, but he might have had 2 VIP bags. And he walks in, he has tote bags over his shoulder.
Yours. He got yours.
Yeah. Anyways, he was very nice.
Got an extra one. Here you go.
Yeah, but it was the greatest.
It's still charming, though. Like these bags, I mean, they're gift bags. You're still like, okay, well, thank you. And you know.
Every single person walking around Gaithersburg, Oyster Bay who had tote bags over their shoulders, has 30 of them at home.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You just know they do. God bless. It's the tote bag world.
What else do you do with the cabinet space under the sink in the kitchen? You just put tote bags in the cabinet space there. So.
Yeah, right. None are allowed in my house anymore. Okay, James Grady, first novel, 6 Days to the Condor. Okay, this is first up. You really need no introduction. But I was talking this weekend. My son Charlie very nicely came out from New York to Oyster Bay. He had to rent a car since he couldn't ride the train. And we were talking about different things. And I said what I was doing today and the podcast and you and 6 Days of the Condor. And he looked at me and he goes, it's 3 Days of the Condor. And I said, not really. But how did it go from this epic novel, 6 Days of the Condor, to the epic movie, 3 Days of the Condor? Who killed 3 birds?
Sidney Pollack told me.
Name dropper.
Oh, no. I mean,
the guy who directed the movie. I don't know what.
Yeah, and he's the one that made the decision. He said, I realized I couldn't show Robert Redford on the run for 6 days because by the end of the movie, he'd look scraggly and uninteresting and not Robert Redford. So he told the screenwriters to cram everything that they could into as few days as possible. When they got the working script, they counted the days. They had 3.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was like, and he looked at me, and I just grinned and thought, what a brilliant way to do things.
Really brilliant. Yeah. Really brilliant. So it didn't bother you at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
So I remember,
I would think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It adds to the suspense, right? I mean, I would think, you're compressing all of that activity into such a short period of time.
Yeah.
What a great movie. God,
nobody could be wired for 6 days.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So did you know Robert Redford? I remember some time ago when he passed away, you and I were trading emails, and it seemed like you actually, unlike a lot of people, you actually knew him.
He was one of the kindest people you'd ever meet anywhere, let alone coming out of Hollywood as a major star. I mean, he literally walked me around the set. Over the years, we would exchange letters and emails. He arranged for me to go to a screening of Ordinary People that he put on in DC. He was one of the more important creative voices in certainly my lifetime, not just for his movies. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when he started trying to create the Sundance Film Festival, there were mocking newspaper articles and talk show people, and oh my God, who would want to do something like that? Within 10 years, Hollywood major studios were clamoring to get a chance to get their product shown at Sundance. And Redford made a point of keeping it open to independent films as well as the big ones. So he really helped create an American cinema period that I'm sorry to say, I don't see it keeping going on.
Yeah, hard. But didn't he, even near the end, was really not disappointed, but I think sad about what Sundance had become. Yes. Because it became such a huge thing, and what a shock. All the big corporations came in to do their VIP events and all that. I think he felt like it was almost hijacked by that world.
Right? I think so. He didn't ever say that.
Yeah.
But you could tell. I mean, he wanted this to be an event for the people and the artists.
Yeah.
For film goers and cinema buffs.
Yeah.
To come and celebrate this wonderful art form that he got to be part of.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Two guys, Robert Redford and Paul Newman, whose lives were and careers were so intertwined. I've never heard anybody, including people who really knew them, say anything other than they were just total menches, really good guys, lovely people.
I know.
Have I told my Paul Newman story on this show?
No.
I think I have. I'll do it quickly because I want to talk about Shadows on Sidewalks. So my sister, Katie, was an actress. She was in all sorts of things. She's in some off Broadway production, right, in New York. And she goes, come up and see it and, meet you afterwards, at the back door, whatever. Okay, great. So I go to the show. This was so long ago. And I had a lot of friends in New York. And so at the intermission, I ran to the phone banks on the wall, the public payphones on the wall, to call my friends and figure out where am I going after this dreadful show. And I'm standing there waiting for the call to go through, and I turn to my right, swear to God, this is like yesterday. And I turn to my right, and there's a person there, and he's not overly tall, but I'm looking at him. And he's waiting for his call to go through, and he looked at me. And I looked at him, I go, I have never said anything like this in my life before. You have the most amazing blue eyes I have ever seen. And he just kind of put his head, and he goes, thanks. And then our call came through, and that was it. Go back in for the second half of the dreadful show. I went, I think I said it out loud. It was Paul Newman. So he and Joanne Woodward, they were both big backers of entrepreneurs in the theatrical world, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, it was him. I'm just stunned. So the show's over. I go to the back door waiting for my sister and her, lame friends to come out. And they come out and I tell them the story and they're dissing me like, oh my God, I can't believe you were like, anyways, the door opens. There's Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, and they come out, and all these, hotshot young actors and actresses are just dumbstruck. You're like, I was embarrassed for them. They were so awestruck. And I think it was Joanne Woodward who said, thank you for that nice show. And again, they're just dumbstruck. I was the one who said, thank you very much. And off they went. But he did have the most amazing blue eyes.
You should have.
Okay.
You didn't shoot your shot, Torie? You got to shoot your
I should have.
Paul Newman, you got to shoot your shot. Come on.
You know what, David? If I had, it was such a lame little theater and you couldn't get a drink. If I had one more drink, I would have.
All right.
That's all it takes. One more.
Yeah. The indecent proposal would have been in the other direction. Completely in the other direction. Yeah. Okay. Jim Grady, I want to read, where is this? Washington Post compared your prose to George Orwell and Bob Dylan. Do you just hang up the pen when that gets written? Do you just say, okay, it doesn't get any better?
I don't remember anything of the day after I read that.
That was like me the day after meeting Paul Newman.
Oh, it was, I mean, literally that comparison to those major figures of our culture is I am beyond grateful, and I feel like I'm going to have to work the rest of my life to live up to that somehow.
Yeah. I mean, the imposter syndrome. But anyways, Shadows on Sidewalks, fantastic. As we all know, I think visually, and I always think about, who's going to play the part and those kinds of things. But Shadows on Sidewalks, a little autobiographical, correct?
Yes.
Give us the snapshot. Give us the CNN headlines of the plot. And then let's talk about how much of this is James Grady and his amazing life.
A Washington, D.C. based millennial author.
Check.
Goes back to his small Montana hometown.
Check.
And gets roped into a conspiracy that forces him to have an affair with a married woman in order to save her from being murdered. And it was when I got the idea, and that came from a Dylan quote who said, and I'm going to get the words out of order here. I think it was, well, wait a minute here. Maybe I could read it. Oh yeah. sex and politics and murder is the way to go if you want to get people's attention. And when I saw that in 2020,
it's a great line.
I know. I realized that I could use that momentum from that brilliance. And I feel like our heartland is being kind of ignored or glossed over, or made into something it's not. And I wanted to go back to my heartland, hometown, and show the complexities there, both good and bad, and to do so in a way that would obey Bob Dylan, which was, sex and murder and politics. So that gave me Shadows on Sidewalks, which I loved when I realized the title abbreviates to SOS.
It took me almost every page of the book before I figured that out. I was like, oh, it's genius. One of my 20-something children picked it up over the weekend and just kind of flipped the pages. There are great sex scenes in this book, people. Just telling you, there are great sex scenes in this book. But here's I'm going to say this wrong, Jim, but you can straighten me out. But there's a little bit of a look back, the way we were kind of thing. But it's also very current. And there's almost a running commentary on race, on age, on sex, on politics. Was there a conscious balancing of that, or did it just flow? This is like, were you a spreadsheet Excel kind of writer for this book, or were you a pantser, as we call them?
I knew that I had to approach things. I do a major portion of the book dealing with racism, which, I'm appalled that this still exists in America today at the level at which it does. Mm-hmm. The same with sexism. I see that happening. Wow, now in public with our. I don't want to get into politics. Yes. With many of our leaders. So I wanted to give snapshots of that, and hopefully let the readers see and experience that, so maybe they will, in their own lives, move forward and say, no, we've got to be better than that.
Yeah, there was something about the scenes you're describing, without giving a lot away, and everyone should read Shadows on Sidewalks. It was very real. It wasn't like, oh, no, this is something that doesn't happen to people like me. These different scenes that you describe, oh, yeah, that has happened recently. It was amazing. Okay, let me go back to the sex scenes. What was it like writing those?
That was kind of a challenge in a way.
For those watching on News Channel 8, Jim Grady is blushing a little bit right now, ladies and gentlemen. You can see a little red in his cheeks.
Oh, yeah. I realized that I was going to need to do them to follow the impetus that got me writing this book. And to use the sex scenes to disguise other things that were going on as they were happening. And I thought, it's the 21st century. I can use my imagination. I can use my old guys' memories, and why not present something as honestly as I can? Yeah. So it became kind of fun. And like you say, I was blushing when I was writing a lot of those scenes.
So right. 10,000 years ago, my father, he was probably in his 60s. He was a doctor. Remember? He's at some flipping party and cocktail party. And the people turned to him and said, Dr. Clark, all your whatever, what do you think about sex for people in their 60s? He answered in Latin. And his answer in Latin was essentially, it should never be discussed publicly. Like, do what you want to do, but don't ever talk about it publicly. Yeah. So he would skip through a few chapters of your book. Okay, who's gonna play these great characters in the movie or the Netflix series?
Oh, that's I got asked that, for example, by my Hollywood crew.
Yeah,
I said, given the nature of the book and its sexual nature, you got to ask the actors first what they're willing to do, what they're comfortable doing, and find the ones that will work with the director and the screenwriter to bring the story to a life. And I don't know who in the modern generation of actors, these would all be people in their 30s, we would get. I know we have to have one indigenous actor, and you know, and she has to be young. So it.
I know I'm always, this is just me casting out because I want to get invited to a premiere someday, but I really think it could be a great Netflix series, a great movie. And part of it is because I'm addicted to anything Taylor Sheridan does. So Yellowstone, Madison, right? Landman, insanely good. And it is very similar to Shadows on Sidewalks, which is like, okay, let's look back a little, but let's not be overly romantic about it. And what's going on today that we should try to address or we should try to fix. It's soliloquy is the wrong word, but Lana, our heroine, when she talks about what's going on with Native Americans in the country, for instance, and I know just enough about that to be dangerous, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. But it would take a really brave actress to play that part. It's really interesting. So brave actors and actresses out there. Yeah.
Very cool. I interviewed several indigenous women from various nations, Tees, Blackfeet, a couple others. And the stories that I got told sometimes shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah.
There's one incredible racist term that I had to put in the book just to show how awful it was. And I don't want to share it with anybody because I don't want this. But when I heard, when the woman who told me what she'd been called was, I had to get up and walk away from the phone conversation. It was so, I wanted to punch someone. Simultaneously. I am hoping, I mean, one of the reasons I did this book is because Taylor Sheridan's great series, they take a look at a different kind of Montana. Than I did. I wanted to go to the northern Montana small towns, the big ranchers, and show that the life everywhere in America is more diverse than we think. And there are small town heroes that I wanted to spotlight who take care of veterans and old people and never get a whiff of credit, but they do it out of the goodness of their heart. And they don't think they're doing anything brilliant or courageous or, that saintly. And when they tell me something that shows they don't think they're saints, I just am flabbergasted.
Yeah.
They just
think that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Yeah. Did you feel better after finishing this book?
Oh.
Because knowing you just a little bit, I felt like, oh, he got a lot off his chest there. Okay, he got something else off his chest there. Did you feel better? Was it a little therapeutic?
Absolutely. And it was therapeutic in part because I was able to have a chance to show our readers and your viewers and listeners there are these issues in America that we still have to face and still need to deal with. And as a writer and as a journalist like all of us, it's important that we bring those issues to the fore again and again until they are simply just part of our history.
Ooh, drop the mic moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, in honor of iconic James Grady and David Aldrich, we're not doing 60 seconds more because that was
Thank God. Can I ask James one question?
Okay, just brief recap at the Gold Coast Book Fair yesterday. I got to do a panel in the brewery with Isaac Fitzgerald, who has this wonderful book called American Rambler, and Bruce Feiler, who's got Traditions of Rituals or Traditions. And I did 60 seconds more with them. They thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They just thought it was great. It went on for about 5 minutes because it took them a long time to answer the question.
I got to ask him one thing. Let me ask him one thing.
Yeah, go.
You spent, I love the book's great. It's
fantastic.
It's great. I love that you spend a lot of time describing noise and sounds.
Great
A Bunsen burner sounds like, what a door slamming sounds like, what wind sounds like. And I wonder, is that done to illuminate the isolation that people may feel up there, or is it something that people use up there because that's just part of the tapestry of where you live? Like, I just wonder about that, because it was just so, you went to such detail about what small things sound like, and I was like, he spent time figuring out what that sounds like. That's real detail,
Well, also, what I wanted to do, in addition to showing what the sounds were like there, I wanted to let my readers feel that in their own lives. We all sometime this week, we're all going to hear a door slam.
Yeah.
It's going to create an emotional moment for us. One heartbeat, but it's going to be there. Let's hope we can go out and feel a cooling wind here.
Right.
I find that we have a commonality of sounds, and it's one of the things that the best music, from Mozart to Springsteen, will do and use to help the audiences feel and think and identify with who they are and what our characters are experiencing and who they are.
Awesome. Oh, wait, that makes me think of this. And I didn't put it on tonight because it was too hot. Black leather jacket, Jim.
Oh,
the black leather jacket plays a very important role in Shadows on Sidewalks.
Yeah.
Please to explain.
When I first had enough money to not worry about, rent and that week's groceries, I needed a jacket for Washington's autumns and springs. And I saw a guy walking past in a black leather bomber-like jacket. And I went after him and said, "Where did you get that?" And I can't remember the name of the store. I love that jacket. It's had, I think, 2 successors since then. But it felt to me like I was making a choice to not look like a overcoat 3-piece suit guy, because I've never been that.
Right.
Nice. I have one that's easily 25 years old. The elbows have been replaced at least twice, like patches over there. It's the best thing in the world. And my favorite photo from our wedding, Brian's my wedding, many, many, many years ago, is I left the church in a non-traditional wedding dress, shocking that, but my black leather jacket over my shoulders.
Oh, wow. That's great. I love that.
So when at the premiere, Jim, when you invite us, I will be wearing my black leather jacket.
There you go.
So great. Okay, everybody. The book is Shadows on Sidewalks. Go get it, by James Grady. Claude, thank you for everything this weekend, tonight, rolling through it. Did Manny win the soccer game?
They did not win the soccer game. There was a second loss, but it's a loss before the playoffs, which I think may motivate the team to. They only lost 2 games all season, and I think this may motivate them. He did score a goal, so
there you go.
There we go. Okay. Thank you to Mitch and Chantel. Congratulations, Stephanie, for making that happen. David, great to see you, my friend. Congratulations on the graduation.
Yes,
it's a big one. Big one. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
See ya.
Take care.